One of the things I take great pride in is maintaining a very good pantry. This way I could have all the foundational elements to cook almost any meal. Today I'm going to introduce you to 5 of my workhorses of my pantry, and I hope that they become one of your workhorses too. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brian's Table. I'm Brian Singh. Today we're going to go over 5 of my favorite workhorses of my pantry. And I like to think at some point you'll be able to try these and they become part of your pantry as well. Let's jump right into it. My first workhorse, it's Saffron. I actually have 2 kinds of saffron. They're very similar. They are the pistil of the crocus plant, and the wonderful thing about saffron, it has great health benefits. It's anti-inflammatory, it's supposed to fight cancer, but one of the most astounding things about it, it is one of the oldest spices out there that is used in cuisine still. This was developed in the era of the Silk Road, and it is found in cuisines throughout Asia, all the way through to Europe. How do you use saffron? One of my favorite dishes is to make saffron rice. I grew up with just doing a seasoned rice, which is where you cook down a bit of garlic and onions with some herbs and some veggies, and then you put some saffron in it and you let it steam out, and you end up with a wonderful dish that goes really well with grilled meats, or even as a side dish that complements any other thing as part of a buffet. You can see it in dishes that are from Iran, where it's used in tadik, lovely dish. You'll see it in Turkish cuisine. It shows up in some of the sweets there. In Italy, they use it in sauce. Italy and France, they use it in sauces. You're able to make sweets out of it. You're able to make sauces out of it, make risotto out of it. The uses are endless, but you have to like that saffron flavor. One of my favorite uses is in kulfi, which is the Indian ice cream. Let's go on to the next one. And again, working on the theme of another ancient spice, I have the Ethiopian Berber, or Berber spice. This is a combination, it is a spice blend, and I know it may be a bit hard to read this, but it contains paprika, chilies, nigella, which is an onion seed. There are any number of these Berber spices. They're originally from Ethiopia, but the spices here came from trade with the Silk Road. This is many thousands of millennia, and yet it still exists, and everybody has their particular combination. The term means hot or pepper, so expect something with a bit of bite. This is used in a lot of Ethiopian food, a lot of those stews. They're very delicious, but you're starting to see it more increasingly used as like a dusting on top of things to add a little zing of flavor. Use it like a curry powder, which is kind of like what the Ethiopians use, where they fry with garlic and onions to flavor the fat before you add the veggies and the meat. But my favorite use, it is actually to be used in marinades. So I sometimes add it to a marinade of buttermilk or yogurt, like tandoori, and put it with meat or even cauliflower and then roast it. And it just adds a wonderful unctuous flavor that just makes everything so delicious. And I like to also drizzle a bit of pomegranate molasses on that roasted cauliflower with the spice. That's heaven. The next one I'm going to go to, this is by Côte d'Azur, and it's the Chesapeake Bay seasoning. But more importantly, this one, let me show you inside here. This is basically one of the seasonings that is similar to Old Bay. And you'll see that on the screen here. Old Bay, it is a seafood seasoning. So anytime you go to most seafood places out on the East Coast, maybe throughout the American South, there's that little bit of that celery salt, spicy flavor. That's that flavor. It's also used in, like if you're doing like shrimp and grits, you use a little bit of this in it. Like I said, you coat the fish and you pan fry it. That's a lovely flavor. Also used in crab cakes, and most famously, its biggest use is in like doing a lobster or a crab boil. But if you're eating seafood, this is really a lovely addition to your repertoire, to your pantry. And I really love it as a base flavor, and it complements so many things. I'm just going over some of the ingredients here. It has celery seed, it has ground mustard, sweet paprika, allspice, bay leaves. So it has some of those warm spice flavors, complementing some more of the aromatic ones. Moving on to the next one, and which is funny that I have paprika on its own. These two items already have paprika on it because having ground up peppers is a wonderful base for a spice blend. Specifically, paprika, it is used in many cultures all around the world. And oddly enough, my fifth one is also a chili pepper derivative. But paprika, it is ground up peppers. The peppers vary. You can have a blend of peppers, or you can have a very specific pepper. But used as a seasoning in soups and stews. But really where this stuff totally sings is in stuff like barbecue and roast meats. What it is it is one of the primary flavors in a spice rub that you put on that meat anytime it's going to go on the grill. If you're into barbecue or smoked meat, paprika is your best friend. What it does, it adds a lot of depth of flavor. I have multiple types of paprika. The American one does tend to be a little hotter, a little bit more fruity in flavor, whereas the Old World one, and this is a smoked hot paprika, tends to have more earthy flavors. So again, what you may find if you are going to do something like a smoked meat, or even something like a barbecue, you may actually be using a combination of these. One may be smoky, one may be fruity. Again, it's the experience you want to give whoever's eating this food. You want to know that you're able to chart that course for them, where they pick up on all the notes of your spice rub, and the paprika will stick out and add a wonderful flavor. The last one, and so we've gone from Asia and the Middle East to Northern Africa, into the U.S., and now we've gone to the U.S. and back to Europe, and now we're going to go to Mexico. This is Tagine, and it is chilies again, and it is similar to paprika in that regard, but it does have a bit of dried lime in it. And what this is famous for, two main uses for it in Mexico that I have encountered, was they love having fruit with Tagine. So any of the firm fruit, pineapple and Tagine, beautiful, right? It brings the acid of the lime with the flavor of the seasoning salt, and it brings that sweet, sour, and savory element that just works so well and just makes your palate just, have fireworks. It's lovely. The other typical use for this, it is in the Mexican corn. You've seen it. There's two versions of it. One is on corn on the cob, and then there's another one where they actually take it off the cob, and you get it when it's on the cob. You get a bit of mayonnaise, you get a bit of queso fresco with fresh cheese, and you get sometimes maybe a bit of chipotle on there. But invariably, there's always going to be Tagine being shaken over it, and it just adds a wonderful flavor. So other uses I use it to turbocharge some of my fresh veggies, because sometimes you just need to have some vegetables, raw vegetables to actually balance off your diet. This adds a lovely flavor with just a hint of salt. But my favorite use on this is marinades and rubs. So I use this again. One of my favorite things with chicken is to just do garlic and lime and a bit of hot sauce to go with the with salt and pepper. But adding a bit of Tagine gives it a little bit of an exotic flavor where it brings a little bit of the chili with that lime. Lovely flavor. The other way that I love using this is in tacos. So again, just a sprinkle on tacos with a squeeze of lime and also maybe with some fresh habaneros. It brings that in-between flavor that marries everything else with that sort of, hey, what's that in that taco that just tastes so great? It's a lovely little addition that adds something that really sparks the imagination. Anyhow, folks, I hope that you've taken some notes here. These are some of my favorite spices and items for my pantry. I use them easily once a week. They add a lot of flavor to my life, and I hope they add a lot of flavor to yours. So go out and have an ethnocultural experience by going to a grocery store in one of the immigrant communities in your city and discover what they have to offer. You'd be surprised. One of the places I like to go, because I live in Western Canada, I do have access to the Spice Merchant. They also have available product online, as well as the Silk Road. Very, very good in getting spices and dried herbs. And as I said, I hope that they become part of your repertoire and make your world just taste a little bit better. Thanks again for watching, and if you're liking what you're seeing, hit the like button and please subscribe. And in the meantime, let's get that pantry going, and you go out there and you go and taste the world.